And I always tell people, show up at least 20 minutes before your meeting. You have enough time to recap, to look at what you're going to talk about, look at yourself, you know, check yourself if everything is fine, and then that should be, of course, fine. And be prepared to wait when you arrive early. So I'm speaking to people like me, people that get very impatient. Do I have those people here? You don't have to wave your hands. I'm one of them. When I get to my meeting spot 20 or 30 minutes early, I become a little bit impatient. And I hate waiting sometimes. So you need to deal with that problems as well, because when you show up early, you know, you need to be able to wait, you know. If you cannot deal with that challenge, take a book, go through your work stuff, and start taking some of, you know, start doing some work while you are waiting. And it will get you so busy and you won't realize that time has gone and your meeting time is taking place already. So yeah, and Vesam, we can move to the next slide. The next slide here, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. I like this small picture that we have there. So we have a brain, we have a heart, and we have a bulb for light. So what is emotional intelligence? Some people call it emotional questions. Some people call it EQ. It's basically the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive way to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. So what does it mean, first of all? It means that as human beings, we all have emotions, and it happens to us. So most of the time when those things happen, you shouldn't be taking decisions based on your emotions, but you should always try to be more, let's just say, not to show empathy, but more of showing, not to show sympathy, sorry, but more of showing empathy. So what do I mean by that? Is that not because of your problem at home or your issue, your personal issue, that you now decide to be rude to your colleagues. Not because of your personal issues that now you decide to be very difficult on other colleagues. It's very important to apply emotional intelligence in our everyday business activity. Because if you do not apply that, I can tell you one thing, most of the decisions that you'll be making in your business space will be based on emotions, and it's not going to be positive decision that will actually help your company or even your colleague as well. So we can move to the next slide, Bassam. So why is emotional intelligence important for leadership? People with high emotional intelligence have a good understanding of their own emotional states, which allows them to more accurately gauge the emotions of others. For business leaders, this empathy places them in the employee's shoes, those leading to more thoughtful and deliberate decisions. This is very important. And people don't ask you to sympathize in a business environment, but all we ask you as a business leader, as a manager, you need empathy. You need to understand where the other person is coming from. You need to put yourself in that person's shoes before you make the decisions. You need to understand one thing: we are all different. We are all apply things differently. We all react differently. So because the other person didn't react or do things the way you were expecting it, don't judge that person. And don't jump on that person's throat. And don't quickly try to be difficult with the person. try to understand, first of all, where the person is coming from, because leadership is also about mentorship. You know, a great leader is a great mentor. You need to understand where the other person is coming from, so that when you can address, remedy, it will definitely be something that that person will benefit and that person will improve. So we can move to the next slide. I believe we are getting into leadership after emotional intelligence. This is one of the person that I believe most of his books has shaped me in a very interesting way when it comes to leadership. And he says, Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe, he says, the greatest act of leadership is mentorship. And I like the other thing that he also said through that book. He says, success without a successor is failure. So I always end up asking colleagues and my audience, do you have someone that you are mentoring? If you are not mentoring anyone, start mentoring people. That's the only way you will discover yourself. And that's also the only way you can share your knowledge with the other person for that person to become better. So I always emphasize on that, and I always encourage business leader, business manager, business executive to have a mentee. Mentor someone. Start sharing that knowledge, that vast knowledge, that wealth of knowledge that you have with somebody else. Build that person. Success without a successor is failure. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is the definition of leadership. We always talk about leadership, but everyone speaks about leadership. And do we understand what is leadership? So leadership, in this definition, it says it's the action of leading a group of people or an organization. The action of leading a group of people, or an organization. So through leadership, we can pick up the word leader. So don't get me wrong. They are great leader, they are good leader, but they are also bad leader. Very important. So it doesn't mean when we say leader, it just means that it's a good leader. So you also get bad leader. And even history has taught us about bad leaders as well. So very important. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is the quality of a good leader. Now you understand why I was talking about a good leader and a bad leader. So here we're going to focus on the qualities of a good leader. The first quality of a good leader is integrity. And why are we talking about integrity? I think without integrity, there is nothing in a business person. Because integrity is basically the quality of being honest and having a strong, or let's say strong moral principles. Strong morals principle. I don't know if you remember what it says, that if you cannot stand for something, you will fail for everything. So you need to be full of integrity. You need to stand your ground. You need to decide based on your value what you should accept and what you shouldn't accept. Because if you cannot do that, I promise you, you are not ready to be a leader. You are not ready to be a leader. The second thing, quality of a good leader, is the ability to delegate. Does someone believe in management by delegation, consulting, and so on? Yes. As a great leader, you should be able to delegate, ask someone to do a specific task, and rely on that person. Don't become a micromanager. You have trained people, you have prepared people, and when you delegate them, expect the result. That's what delegations means. When you delegate someone, you expect the result. They can come and consult you once in a while, it's fine, but you need to trust them when you delegate them. And you need to know that they will do what you would have done if you were in their place. So that ability to delegate is very important. But what is also important is that as a leader, you know your team. So you know who can do the best specific job for a specific requirement or a specific task, and who can do the shortcut, because you also get people that they are not lazy, but they are just too smart to do it the long way. They always find the shortcut, but they do it well. So you can also rely on those people, especially when it comes to something that need less time and you need the result quickly. You need such people because they can shift and turn their brains and things will happen quickly. You need those type of people as well. Communication. I think this point I need to correct it. Communication is not enough. Effective communication is enough. Effective communication. As a leader, you need to know how to communicate. As a leader, you need to know how to speak to your people. As a leader, as a manager, you need to know how to discuss or engage with your people. Effective communication. A great leader knows how to communicate. Because when your people come back to you and they always don't understand the requirement of what you've asked them, it's okay to look at what's wrong with them, but you can also start looking at yourself and ask yourself, am I communicating effectively to them? Why do they always come back to me and ask all those questions? Perhaps you need to change your style of communication. That's what effective communication is all about. The fourth point, self-awareness. Wow, this is amazing. Self-awareness. Do you know yourself? Do you know your weakness? Do you know your strength? If you do not know yourself, you cannot lead somebody else. So you need to know yourself, you need to know your weakness, and you need to be able to manage those weaknesses on a daily basis. That's what business is all about. You need to manage your weaknesses, and you also need to manage your strength and manage your weakness to improve it, to get better. So that's what self-awareness is all about. You know, before you look at the other person, you need to look at yourself and fix yourself. That's what a great leader does as well. And gratitude. I can tell you one thing. Those who report to managers that always say to them, thank you, amazing job, great job, thank you very much, well done. I promise you, they feel so energized, they feel so well working for those managers and so encouraged, and they believe that those managers are great managers. Be that manager. Be able to acknowledge your colleague or someone, your subordinate. Be able to acknowledge them when they've done an amazing job. Be able to say thank you to them. You know, be able to tell them shukran. Be able to tell them merci. It's very important. You cannot get an amazing work being done and without recognizing that person with a simple word called thank you. Gracias. So it's very important. Learning agility. Learning agility, I don't know if you've heard of this word. If you haven't heard of it, it simply means you need to know what to do when you don't know what to do. Have you ever gone into a boardroom and people start speaking jargons, discussions, and you felt that you didn't know anything? So you need to be that leader that goes back and learn by himself, learn faster, change things faster, be agile. That's what agility is all about. Agility is that ability, or let's say the quality of being agile. Be able to change faster, quickly. You know, in situation, for instance, like COVID-19 that has taken place, as a business person, you need to be able to, let's say, be agile. You know, you need agility. You need to be able to get used to the fact that I won't be in the office. I will be in my house. I will be working from my house, but I need to give the same time that I used to give when I was in my office. That's also agility. And learning agility, it's also that ability of, you know, being quicker to learn something that you didn't know and learn it faster and go back there, and people won't even know that you didn't know that thing that that they were talking about yesterday, and today you speak like an expert when it comes to that. Influence. Many people confuse influence and bullying people. There is a huge difference. You influence people with your know-how, with your art to convince, with your way of communicating, with your convincing word, scientifically prove to them. And that's what influencing people is all about. Not bullying people, but influencing people. So empathy, I always call it the opposite of sympathies. Empathy is basically putting yourself in that person's shoes, understand where the person is coming from, and then you can make a reasonable decision based on that. So empathy for a leader is key. You cannot be a leader that your yes should just be yes. And if people are coming up with something else, it's just a clear no. You don't even want to understand why they are late. You don't want to understand why they didn't do this. You don't want to understand why they couldn't deliver. You didn't want to understand anything. No, allow people to speak to you. Allow people to share where they are coming from, and you can judge based on that. And yes, those that enjoy lying, you will also pick it up. It's so easy to catch a liar, someone that always comes to you with excuses. You will be able to catch it faster. But there are also people that come with real reasons of why maybe they've showed up late, of what happened to them, of why they are not able to focus this week based on a specific situation that may be happening in their house. So as a leader, you need to be able to pick up those things and have, let's just say, a one-to-one conversation with that colleague and try to help. People spend more than 8 hours with you in the office, and you know them. Sometimes you even know them better than themselves, because when they go home, they spend less hour and then go to bed. So you have the chance to know them well, and when something is not okay with them, you can pick it up. Call them in the office, have a conversation as a human, not as a boss, but as a human. Understand where they are coming from. That's what empathy is all about. The 9th point is courage. Wow, this is amazing. I will tell you something. As a leader, if you always get yes and yes and yes, something's wrong. You are surrounded by hypocrites. So you also need to have the courage when people say no to you, if you believe that that's the way it should be done, or that's the way you should be moving in that respective strategy, believe in that and have the courage and move forward. People will not always say yes to you. Some people will always say no. But have the courage and have, based on your task, based on what you've been doing, and based on what you've already put in place as an analysis, You know what will work and what will not work. So also have the courage. You know, if you believe in a specific things and you know that it will work, despite the no, be able to say, let's do it. I believe it's gonna happen this way. Be able to do that. And respect. That's the last point. Respect. This is an amazing point. We do not have to agree all the time, but we need to respect each other. We need to know each other's place where we stand. We need to respect each other's values. We need to respect each other's belief. It's very important for a leader. You need to respect your subordinate. You need to respect your colleague, because by respecting others, it shows that you respect yourself and you expect people to respect you as well. That's what respect is all about. This time we can move to the next page. The next page will be who we are and what we do and so on. For those who would like to visit us, you're more than welcome to go into our YouTube page or channel, Smart Africa 4.0. You'll find some of the videos that we share in regards to Industry 4.0 and how business people and entrepreneurs can navigate through the Industry 4.0. And Akata RDC website is also there. You more than visit us as well, both Akata RDC and Smart Africa 4.0 on a LinkedIn. We have 2 LinkedIn pages there. You're more than welcome to visit that as well. We normally share interesting content and also videos as well. You're more than welcome to visit us there. And we can go to the next slide. It's the most important slide of this presentation. Questions and answers. Thank you very much.